Phoebe's banner is back soon, so today I wanted to tell you why you shouldn't miss out on the chance to pull for her. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. I should begin by saying that Phoebe is the absolute queen of the entire Spectro Frazzle archetype. It was clear upon her initial release that she would be a great investment into this particular negative status in the long term, as she had so many unique capabilities that didn't even have a practical functionality when she first came out. For example, her buffing mode, in which you primarily use her for the purpose of applying Spectral Frazzle and buffing the performance of on-field Frazzle DPSs. For instance, her outro skill reduces the Spectral res of all nearby foes by 10% if you're in a Confession sub-DPS mode, while also amplifying Frazzle damage by 100%. Not to mention freaking extending the negative status's damage interval, meaning you have more uptime on it. So considering that Zani is coming out soon, a DPS that is a part of this particular archetype, you certainly don't want to miss out on the chance to pick up a Phoebe as well, because it's likely that she's going to end up as an insane buffer within her teams, finally giving her Confession mode an excellent viable use case. In fact, I feel that all future DPSs that wish to utilize Spectral Frazzle will end up wanting Phoebe by their side. This isn't even mentioning how crazy of a DPS she is in this archetype either. She's easily a top 3 damage dealer as it currently stands, as her numbers are literally through the roof. With Zani being able to provide Spectro Amp on outro when her debuff is active, it's likely that those numbers are only going to soar up even higher. She's such an integral piece to the Spectral Frazzle niche. I would 100% consider picking her up as soon as you can if you're someone who really cares about investing well into this specific archetype, because Phoebe's value is only going to continue to shoot up from here. She's also one of the most free-to-play friendly units in the entire game. Some units are free-to-play, but this woman is literally as accessible as it gets. Checks out that the churchwoman is the one going out of her way to be as generous as humanly possible, huh? Anyways, this is for a few reasons. For starters, she's one of the only main DPSs in the entire game who doesn't care to use Shorekeeper all that much. She can still use her if you want, but because she offers herself so much damage percent already, Phoebe isn't able to take advantage of her buffs as well as other main damage dealers can. You'd think this would be a mark against Phoebe, but considering that her damage is highly competitive with avid users of Shorekeeper, it's actually an insane benefit, since this makes your life so much easier when it comes to Vigor management in the TOA. Who does she use in turn? Well, might I interest you in 2 units who you can literally claim for free near the start of the game? That's right, Spectro Rover and Sanhua. You use Rover to apply the negative status to foes, then you use Sanhua for her humongous basic percent buffing. It all harmonizes very nicely. You can even consider using Mortefi as a worse budget Phoebe option if you need to free up Sanhua for any particular reason, which makes sense, since she's a highly contested support unit. Her literal best in slots has been a free-only team for the past 2 versions, and even though Zani is going to be a big boost to her overall performance as a character, that doesn't suddenly mean that her free-to-play friendly team is bad or irrelevant. In fact, that makes her even crazier. Because if that's how good her free-to-play team is as it currently stands, imagine how she is going to break the fabric of reality itself with the GOAT banker by her side. Her weapon options are pretty groovy too. No signature? No worries. As always, Stringmaster is literally only a few percentage worse than her signature if you're playing her as a main DPS. Otherwise, you can even slap her on Ocean's Gift if you were around for that fishing event where she said, "May the breeze bring us a bountiful catch," every 3 seconds. You can even opt to hand of Arena Seat to Craftable, centered around negative statuses, and it'll do sublimely as well. This is genuinely one of the best first 5-star characters to pull in the entire game. In fact, I 100% recommend her as your first limited character if you're only starting to play the game now. You can get her to be functional so darn quickly, it's insane. Definitely a unit to keep your eyes peeled for if you're looking for a free-to-play friendly option. There's also her excellent ease of use. I'm gonna be honest, Chief, her playstyle is not all that complicated. Blast out some light beams, charged attack every 3 light beams, it's certainly not rocket science. Literally anybody can pick up and play this unit. This only further accentuates Phoebe's beginner friendliness. This also allows the unit to have a nice skill ceiling too. Every time she does an enhanced charge attack, that's a potential swap window, whether that be to invite in a swap like Changli, or perhaps even Zani. Yep, dual carry with Zani does seem to have potential. That's mostly because in the footage that Crow officially revealed of Zani's gameplay, it seems clear that she has multiple slower animations that would be very quick swappable. Pair that with the quick swappable nature of Phoebe, and we've got ourselves the recipe for something gnarly. Of course, this greatly strays away from ease of use, as quick swap is a much more high skill level technique. However, I still felt that the insane potential at hand was worth mentioning. Phoebe has an extremely low bar to entry, so anybody can play and clear with her, while having a high skill ceiling, so people who are interested in optimization can do all the high level techniques in the world. Also, she has a nice little time freeze when she casts her skill, where enemies will be frozen for a bit after she immobilizes them, much like how the esteemed Montelli Lady Carlotta does it. This can make her comfortable to use up against annoying bosses such as the Dragon of Dirge, or even Thundering Mephis. This unit also features wonderful playstyle versatility. This wasn't really a relevant point pre-Zani, because there was no realistic conditions under which you'd seriously consider using Confession mode Phoebe, but now that we're getting another Frazzle-based main DPS unit, you're able to use a support mode, as we've already established. So why is that so great? Simple. you have multiple ways that you can play this character now, meaning that you get a whole lot of fun out of one unit. You don't have to play her in any one specific way that you may not enjoy. There's various avenues that you could take, which would allow you to adapt to different scenarios in your own preferred way. That's another aspect of it. Phoebe's playstyle versatility makes her excellently adaptable to various scenarios, so you can choose what you want to do based on what the challenge in front of you presents. DPS mode. The tried and true mode which allows you to take this reliable church lady out onto the field to exercise all of her foes in the blink of an eye, as she quite literally harnesses the power of light itself to destroy all that's in front of her with ease. You'll use this very well in TOA for sure, as she's a top free freaking unit there. Confession mode, allowing the church lady to support the overworked 9-to-5 devil that is certain to hit some absolutely demonic damage when facing off against foes with Phoebe by her side. Great to use in all scenarios, whether that be Whimpering Wastes, TOA, or whatever it may be. Holograms included. Phoebe's a pretty good holograms unit. And then last, but certainly not least, Quick Swap, the speedy playstyle built for people who like a challenge, and a challenge that yields excellent results upon surmounting it. Changli Quick Swap is my personal weapon of choice for this playstyle, and boy am I eager to see what comes of the potential Zani Phoebe Quick Swap synergy if it ends up being real. We could be looking at a real nuke here, folks. Speaking of which, that brings up another point that I'd like to touch on. That being the fact that Phoebe is going to be excellent in all game modes from here on out. Before, she was questionable in Whimpering Wastes, but with Shakona's ability to apply Frazzle in waves, yeah, any multi-wave issues that Phoebe may have previously had has been totally resolved now. But what if you're more of a Zani enjoyer? No worries. She too may end up saving Phoebe's wuwa performance, because it appears that her gameplay, based on the official footage, is the kind of gameplay that happens over a sustained period of time, as opposed to being a front-load blast type of playstyle. Pair that with Phoebe, and perhaps even the potential for the pair to be quick-swapping machines, and yeah, needless to say, these units are going to be insanely dominant within Whimpering Wastes. Just wanted to address that first, since I felt like it was Phoebe's biggest struggle game modes-wise. Free-to-play Phoebe is less powerful in wuwa, to be honest, but the upgrade avenues to make her highly viable in that game mode, while also retroactively boosting her performance in all of her modes, does in fact exist. And it appears that Shakona has synergy with that lot too. It could be realistic that the future premium Spectro Frazzle team will consist of Phoebe, Zani, and Shakona. When it comes to TOA, the Acolyte has always been a consistently powerful unit. Nothing about that has changed whatsoever. In fact, I can only see her performance in the mode going up from here, and you'd be surprised at how solid Phoebe is in holograms. I personally prefer just using my usual Changli brand team core against holos, but you're always going to be more familiar with your mains anyway. If you put the practice in, you'll certainly be pleased by Phoebe's performance and hologram content. So, no matter what game mode you're having trouble with, Phoebe's here to save the day. Well, there's some extra terms and conditions when it comes to Whimpering Wastes, but the fact of the matter is that the avenue remains there, and she has insane potential in all modes these days. Then there's the real question. If Phoebe is so good, should you choose her over Zani if you haven't a copy of either? I'm simply gonna say it directly. Yes. Get Phoebe over Zani. She's going to be far better on her own than Zani will most likely end up being on her own. Phoebe was designed with being able to be a main DPS on her own in mind, whereas the Goat Banker Lady's damage ceiling was designed with Phoebe in mind. You're able to get some insanely wild value out of a free-to-play only Phoebe, while not requiring any other character in order to have her feel like a top-tier pull. Both are most likely going to end up as S-tier units in my opinion. I have faith in Zani's strength as a character. Endgame content is not so arduous that you would need the type of damage that a Zani being supported by a Phoebe provides. However, I still think that you're going to be a lot more impressed with a free-to-play Phoebe team than a free-to-play Zani team, from the current looks of things. Ideally, you could just get both. But pulls are limited, and if you're in a position where you only have the means to pull for one of them, I would take the Acolyte over the Goat Lady. I do think that Zani's baseline performance in Whimpering will most likely have more potential than a baseline Phoebe, but so many good wuwa units are being run this patch that I wouldn't really let that influence your entire decision, especially when Shakona's on the second half. At least based on the footage that Kuro has officially shown, and seeing how she can apply Frazzle in waves, Wuthering Waves, she'll most likely solve whatever wuwa issues you may have had beforehand. There's so many banners to choose from in 2.3, but I think that Phoebe's rerun is undeniably the highest value banner that there is for you to pull on. Obviously, always prioritize who you love the most as a character first and foremost, whether that be reasons pertaining to character design, story, voice, or whatever it may be. I'd always encourage choosing to pull for your favorites first. Get Zani or whoever else if you prefer her or those others over Phoebe significantly. However, I still felt that, considering how many banners we're getting, it was important for me to highlight just how valuable Phoebe has become in such a short period of time, and how if you are somebody that wants to invest their astrites in a more strategic manner, then the Acolyte's banner is 100% the way to go. Not to mention how, yes, Phoebe's value was already insane upon her initial release, but with Zani coming out, it's skyrocketing, and with any of our future Spectro Frazzle DPS, I only expect it to skyrocket further. This character is a long-term investment, So if you care about meta, or you care about this particular negative status, she is such a good pickup, it is wild. But what about you? Has all of this Phoebe shell convinced you to pull, or is it still a skip for you? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturdays, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so that we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you why Phoebe's as close to a DPS must pull as it gets. This has been Juice, signing out, and oh shoot, I forgot to mention the best part. She can ride a broom!